Hello folks, Typhoon Carter here, and I bring to you our DPP Revival Invitational set. This is a round 5 losers bracket matchup between Lazuli and Malekith. As we are getting pretty deep into the tournament now, as I believe the next round will be top 8, as this should be top 12. So, you know, less than half of the participants left in this tour. Lazuli has made quite the losers bracket run for himself so far, whereas Malekith got sent down to losers last round by martial law. But either way, whoever loses here is going to be eliminated from the tournament. That being said though, let's jump right into this. Empoleon lead, Breloom lead. Breloom's just going to Spore here. Gets the Spore off on Empoleon. Does not want to stick around and find out. Gira's going to be the Loom switch in, as it's going to take 34% from this Focus Punch, but it will force it out. And Malekith's Gyarados response is his own Gira, and Lazuli's going to mid-ground with Return, going to do decent damage. And Malekith's going to take this chance to set up, but it's going to be threatened out by a possible Scarf Latias, and Lazuli knows this, takes advantage of this, but instead it's going to be met with a double edge to the face. So Malekith calls that bluff out. And Magnezone's going to be a follow-up here. Waterfall probably will not KO here unless he gets a flinch. Does not get it. So Magnezone will be able to handle this. And Breloom's going to be back following up. And it's got superpower here. So a couple things to note, like why Lazuli swapped in Magnezone despite the Gyarados having double edge. Normally it's for a couple reasons. One, if you're running double edge Gyarados, this means that there's a very likely chance you're not running Earthquake. The last move can be something like Taunt, for example. Could also be Substitute, or even something like, you know, Ice Fang or Stone Edge. So the reason why you might run double edge Gyarados is so that you can generally KO something like a Kingdra on the switch at +1, or a offensive Starmie at +1, for example. So that's why you might use it in some scenarios like this. It's generally just a decent neutral move that hits very hard. And Lazuli tried to, like, you know, pivot around the Gyarados, trying to bluff Choice Scarf on Latias, but Malekith called that out and double edge. So that tells me that either A, he was comfortable with the Gyarados being potentially let go because maybe he might have a Tyranitar to follow up the trap here, which would be very plausible on something like a Breloom Gyarados structure. There's probably a Metagross in the back. But that said though, Gyara's going to be follow up here. It's going to survive the Seed Bomb, and Lazuli's just going to try to get as much damage as possible. And got pivot into Latias here, and that superpower not really doing a whole lot. Breloom's already gotten quite a bit of value out of it, and got Focus Punch here, got force the Latias to Draco Meteor, and it's gonna get Pursuit trapped, but that will not quite KO. So Malekith might want to look to get rocks up later. Let's go Waterfall here, going to do decent amounts of damage. And Lazuli's just got Taunt here, going to try to prevent a Roost attempt from Scizor, but Malekith makes a great call there, calls it out. Going to get the Wake Up with Empoleon and will KO the Scizor. So Tyranitar is going to be a follow-up here. EQs, they're going to be right into Torrent range, and that's going to take that out. So the game was looking quite good for Malekith for a brief moment there, but things have gotten out of hand very quickly. I think Malekith's last here is probably... Oh, okay, it's a Donphan. So this is a PDC Osgood style team. Gotta crunch into his Donphan. Donphan's gonna get rocks up here, try to get some chip damage on this, or try to ensure that the Latias actually stays down. Gonna crunch again. And Lazuli's last here, I wouldn't be surprised if there was like a Rotom, for example, or... Well, Bronzong works too as the triple steel, because Magnezone doesn't really qualify as like a traditional steel per se. And then Malekith's just going to Fire Punch here. Not going to quite do enough. Going to eat up his Gyro Ball pretty comfortably. But doesn't have Protect, so that means that the Bronzong will be able to clean up here. And Lazuli's going to survive this game 1. And just to kind of quickly look back at this game, where did things change? For Lazuli in this case, I think he was able to turn momentum around, especially with the OTR Zong being able, and then the Gyarados sequence being able to get significant damage on the Scizor, being able to, force the Scizor from doing too much, and then the Latias hanging on to its last legs, that didn't really matter as much, but the Bronzong being able to, and then obviously at the Tyranitar, which did quite a lot of damage to Malekith's Donphan. I was surprised that Lazuli didn't go into Bronzong a little bit sooner. But I suppose, Bronzong isn't doing that much damage on the Donphan with, Gyro Ball. So, it made sense for Lazuli to just keep crunching down. And then for Malekith, I guess this is, probably a classic case of take your kill. Because, if the Dragonite had extreme speed, which, based on the way Malekith played this, might have not had it. Because, this Latias should not even be a factor. And then the Donphan, I think, should just take your kill, but either way, I think this was very favorite for Lazuli in the end. That said though, let's go into game 2. Here are game 2. Registeel lead, Heatran lead. Reggie lead, this is either going to be a stall or a bulky offense. Again, Registeel has been kind of this new age pick. We've been seeing in DPP where generally it's just this very good all-purpose special attacking sponge that can just eat up hits and then threaten something like a counter or trait with explosion or just cripple with T-Wave, just very annoying to break down. But seeing this lead Heatran means that this is pretty bad news for the Registeel. Gonna have to switch out here, and it's gonna be Magma Storm Heatran lead. So this could be a Sash Heatran lead. But instead, we're going to have the Tyranitar show Scarf. And the Heatran's going to have to switch out. And this is a great opportunity for Gyarados to get some setup going. And the Gyarados is showing lefties. So Latias is going to be a follow-up here. Going to go right back into Heatran. So Malekith probably anticipating a Registeel switchback. Or Jirachee switchback. Was probably okay with letting it be sacrifice fodder. But Donphan's going to be the switch in here. Donphan will be able to get a spin off pretty comfortably, but going to get a knockoff there. So that's going to be huge because that means that the Registeel will have an easier time handling the Kingdra. But Malekith makes a great double into Heatran. It's going to threaten with a Magma Storm. Obviously, Magma Storm has a pretty iffy accuracy at 70%, so gotta be wary of that. Instead tries to predict a Tyranitar entry, going to blank on this Latias instead. And the Latias got Ice Beam. I mean, Ice Beam is pretty free here, assuming this is Reflect Latias, which is what it should be. But, okay, Lazuli making some fantastic doubles here. Here, putting himself in a position. And yeah, you can kind of see how Registeel just completely shrugs that mixed Tyranitar's Fire Blast off. Although it's unfortunately burned, which kind of sucks. But will be able to get Stealth Rocks up at the very least. And Latias once again going to be pivoted in as the Heatran answer of choice. And the Latias will probably try to take the kill if it can do so. But that Heatran is as good as dead, so it's effectively a 6-5 game. However, this Latias going to be pursued out, was probably banking on a full para, didn't get what he was looking for. And Malekith will probably sacrifice the Heatran. And what do you know he does? So, Registeel is going to be entered in, going to be able to take one hit from just about anything. And Donphan's going to be pivoted out. And so we have some fantastic pivoting here from both players, right? So Registeel into Tyranitar. So Lazuli obviously wants to go into Donphan, which is for the most part a safe Tyranitar switch, especially a para T-Tar. Although T-Tar looks like it likely does not have Ice Beam on this. Some T-Tars do run that, but not very common. But Malekith knowing this makes a great double back into Kingdra, knowing that, hey, look, Lazuli doesn't want to stick around and find out what if my Tyranitar has superpower or not. So instead, he's going to probably go into Donphan, so let's just go into Kingdra. And now Kingdra is, with like a Hydro Pump, is probably threatening a 2-hit KO, if not a flat out KO on just about every fan of Lazuli's team, because due to a burn earlier, this means that it's going to be in danger now. And don't forget, this Kingdra is not choice locked due to knockoff from earlier. Donphan's going to protect her, going to scout that out. And Hydro Pump's going to do 30%. If that was specs, it probably would have done a little bit more. Going to Dragon Pulse there, don't want to risk a miss. No Surf though, but Magneton's going to be swapped in. Going to eat this Crunch Up, going to threaten a Flash Cannon. Flash Cannon's going to KO this Tyranitar, which was always going to be the play, because you want to be able to mid-ground the Donphan. And Lazuli revealing Protect Breloom. So Protect Breloom, yeah, this makes sense on the kind of team that Lazuli has, with Scarf Tar being the Gengar check. You have Ice Beam Latias. This might be Ice Beam Earthquake Lati, and then you have the defensive Breloom. This is like a trademark Osgood PDC style team. And he's probably going to be able to threaten a Leech Seed, Seed Bomb. So I think this is Sporeless. It's probably Protect, Leech Seed, Force Palm, from what I can gather. But Lazuli's last tier should be a steal anyways, because I don't think you can get away with just one steal. And yeah, so the second steal is Scizor. So this is like a double pursuit style team perhaps. But it might not be the case here. Regardless though, this Scizor could be like a possible win condition for Lazuli. It's probably bulky SD Scizor with Bullet Punch, either Bug Bite or a Superpower or even Pursuit last. Gyara's got DD up here. But this Breloom will probably survive whatever hit is thrown at it. It's got Leech Seed, and now Breloom's going to gain a bazillion health back. And no, instead Lazuli opts to stay in, was probably trying to call out Malekith, trying to go for a Sword Stance, or sorry, DD, not Sword Stance, what am I saying? And now Lazuli trying to stall this out, try to like use the sand to like take care of the rest, but instead Malekith's going to let a Hydro Pump rip, and the Donphan's going to go down. The question is whether Scizor can actually get the job done from here. And looks like it cannot, but Lazuli's only out right now is to fish for a miss. And Malekith should have this game wrapped up as long as he keeps landing these. Mostly because like one, like, oh okay, yeah, he's just going, okay, yeah, he's got to land all his Hydro Pumps. I don't think he missed a single one. And Malekith's got to take this game 2, and we're tied 1-1. So again, we're down to game 3, down to a wire. Whoever wins this next one will keep moving forward, and whoever loses here is going to be sent packing. Anyways, that's it. Let's go into game 3. Here are game 3. Jirachee lead, meta lead. Jirachee does not want to stick around. Got Iron Head here, probably trying to check for leftovers. Malekith's meta does in fact have lefties. And go ahead pivot into Hippowdon, so Lazuli perhaps bringing out a full stall team. But we do not know for sure. It could also be like Hippo Rose, for example. And Lazuli trying to pivot back into Jirachee, probably try to call out an explosion. Because for a Metagross player, like booming onto Hippo very early on can be a valid call. Especially if it means you can get out of the equation. Instead, this Jirachee is going to be Wish Protect Jira. And this Metagross not going to be able to fully break it through reliably without crits. And, oh, okay, so Wish Protect U-Turn. U-Turn on Wish Protect Jirachee is actually pretty good for a couple reasons. The main reason is so that you can escape a Magnezone trap, which is generally something that Body Slam, Iron Head variants of Wish Protect Jirachee has trouble with. And Malekith bringing out an offensive team, probably blue offense for all I know. But gotta go into his Tentacruel, so this is one of those Osgood type stalls. And Lazuli making the great call here to just keep clicking T-Spikes, keep making the Starmie lose health with Black Sludge. And then Malekith's gotta be careful about staying in here. He could try to go for a trick here. Gonna spin here. And probably gotta try to get one more spin off perhaps. Will at least keep T-Spikes off. However, this means that the Tentacruel can come back in later and try to get Toxic Spikes up again. Gira's gonna DD up here, and Jirachee's gonna U-turn out. And obviously, this Gira is always one waterfall flinch away from just teabagging. Oh wow, that might have a little bit of bulk investment. I don't know for sure, but the Gyarados is going to almost take this Clefable out entirely. That might have been a roll, but Lazuli unfortunately is in a bit of an awkward spot here despite having the small numbers lead, because Metagross can still boom and Malekith's just gonna let that rip. So that might swing the game around. And Malekith's team looking at the, and then I think Lazuli's last it's gotta be a second steal, could be something like a Bronzong for example. Could see that happening, but on Malekith's team I would expect there to be a Pursuiter of some kind, probably like a T-Tar, and then the last can be, you know, like a filler slot, like could be something like Scarf Rotom or like a Scarf Laddie, for example. So that's a couple slots that Malekith's team could have, but especially if this is mixed Dragonite. But mixed D-Knight, obviously a huge threat to Jirachee, huge threat to Clefable, although Clefable is really low. But gotta switch out here. Okay, so Jirachee is the other slot. That's not too surprising. Good U-turn out here. Could be Scarf Jirachee for all I know. And Lazuli's gotta wish up the Jira. Instead going to eat an Earthquake, and that looks to be DD Life Orb Dragonite. Could be Jolly D-Knight for all I know. Lazuli's gotta get the Clefable back to full, but don't want to stick around and find out. And oh, gonna get frozen though. And T-Tar is gonna be brought in, and this T-Tar, if this is DD Tyranitar, then this Clefable is not gonna do enough to break it, especially because the Jirachee's frozen, so this actually works out in Malekith's favor. And the other thing to take into consideration is that Lazuli likely does not have any other good speed control option on his team. And Malekith's just gonna keep crunching down. Magnezone is the last. And oh, okay, yeah, I got the last wrong, but yeah, so Malekith's just going to take the series 2-1. And really you see the problem that these Tentacruel like Magnezone, especially if you're running Scarf Zone, the reason why you might run Scarf Zone on these kind of stall builds is because one, stall teams traditionally have problems against something like a Sword Stance Lucario, so that's why you might want to use that here, which makes sense on Lazuli's team. But the issue here, I think, was that once the Hippo went down, Malekith's window to win this game significantly opened up, especially with the DD Tyranitar, and you really see how these teams rely a lot on Hippowdon to kind of hold the fort down in this case. And yeah, sometimes Jirachee can get the job done too, but since Lazuli's Jirachee doesn't even have Body Slam or anything like that, it's like that was kind of out of the question. And from that point on, like the moment the Hippo went down, and based on what Malekith showed on his team, it was just a matter of time. And the only out that Lazuli had was like getting, you know, like instant T-Bolt crit once, and then, or not T-Bolt crit, but T-Bolt para, and then, you know, get a double para in a row, or like 2 paras in a row, assuming this Tyranitar's Lumberry. And so yeah, that was that. And that's dope. If you guys enjoyed these videos, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.